as much. If you've got a coach like Lunchbox stood behind you, he certainly is going to be telling you when you need to be prioritizing that objective, when you need to be pulling that flag, when you need to be going for a touch, when you need to be going for a re, if you should be holding the ball, if you should be rotating the ball, if you should be getting in the stronghold. The man's going to know it. It's such a good brain to have behind you. There was a lot of questions asked, I think, about coaches. Are they going to be important? Because you can see now when rockets are coming up, when's overshield coming up. And sure, they don't have to do as much of a job when it comes to timing, but there's so much more that coaches are going to be important for behind the scenes as well, keeping spirits up, keeping momentum, picking up people's heads when they let them drop after losing a series or losing a map. And I do think that Optic have just got the right formula when it comes to their 4 players and their coach.
Well, after Aquarius capture the flag, we're going over to Streets Slayer. Again, everybody, apologies for the delay in getting this game started. We want to get into the action just as much as everybody who is watching at home right now. So again, we extend our apologies. There's not too much we can do about these sort of things. We're trying to get into the game, as I mentioned, as quick as we possibly can. But Streets Slayer is a game type where it's a constant battle for rotations. And we're seeing that more and more now, Dan, especially with the scavenging that is available. People rotating down Neons to get that Bulldog. The rockets. I mean, how have you seen this game type develop over, the couple of weeks that we've seen it played now?
Certainly, I've seen both regions go toe-to-toe on Street Slayer, and they play it slightly differently, but I think the main thing that ties both regions and all regions together on Street Slayer is this is a messy game type that is a lot about survivability. There's so many little corners that you can duck around, you can sprint around, and it's about confidence, it's about angles, it's about knowing which fights you can actually take. If you are one shot and you get round a corner and you see your teammate in a little bit of trouble, you can usually help them because you're not going to be shot from behind, and the person you're shooting is probably not going to prioritize you unless they're getting screamed at with a call out. So I think trying to find a little bit of structure amongst that madness is where you will actually find success here on Street Slayer. Be calm, know how to prioritize rockets, make sure you're there, prioritize the Bulldog as well, because that can make a really big difference. And we have seen some teams absolutely snowball out of control once they start to get the other team on a spawn cycle here on Street Slayer, because you spawn them all in station, you collapse on them, you kill them, they spawn over towards Cafe, you collapse on them again, and you just rinse and repeat. It's difficult to do, but when it does work, it really is a pleasure to watch. And just to go back to the statistics, we've seen 5 victories for Optic Gaming of the 6 games they played. They've lost it once, and they did lose it to Cloud9. And one thing that Cloud9 did very well against Optic Gaming on this was collapse on them, was just frustrate them, not allow Optic to have any sort of room to breathe here on this game type.
Well, a little update from the bracket for you as well. Shout out to Lottie for that. E United beat G2 3-0. So unfortunately, G2 still looks to be struggling a little bit at the start of Infinite. I'm sure when it gets to land and they get in that live environment, they will be looking to put that right and remind everyone just how good they are, as I previously mentioned.
Oh, I've got another update
will be
for
playing. You. Yeah, go on. Talk to me.
I've got an update. You know, earlier you asked me about the plants on Aquarius. Someone said it looks like it could be a type of vine, like the Boston ivy, which is fast-growing, German ivy, or English ivy. I could run an analysis, and they say if you get me a sample, I can see if it's a subspecies or a new variant. Shout out to UNC Butler, who just managed to provide that, a little bit of analysis for us on what the plants may be on Aquarius. Cheers.
See, I just got a reply from Hidden Xperia that just said, if there's anything that comes out about it, I'm making a video on plant lore. I mean, the man will make a video about anything. Shout out to you, Luke. Awesome member of the Halo community. Hopefully we can get into this game as soon as possible. But another update for you, it will be E United who will be playing the winner of C9 versus Sentinels. That match is going on now. Unfortunately, I had some problems getting into the lobby, and hopefully we can get into this Optic Gaming versus Inconceivable game as soon as possible, because to be honest, Dan, I've been able to watch any Halo for a while. I'm starting to get a little bit itchy.
I'm going to throw him under the bus. Mark, I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw him under the bus. I've just seen, we're waiting, right, on APG, because he's playing a game of matchmaking. And I'm going to throw him under the bus here, because there are priorities in order, APG. Right, if you are in APG stream, if he's streaming now, go in, tell him to quit that game. He'll take the 30-minute ban or whatever it is, and we'll get into custom games.
APG, you play that game out.
No!
You play that game out. But to be fair, they might have been moved ahead of schedule, so don't throw any. Don't throw any shade at Brad. Brad's a good
will.
guy. All right, he's not Dan. It's not all about you, Dan. It is all about you. Don't worry. It's always all about you, Dan Gaskin. Anyway, let's come back to us, because we've looked at this beautiful graphic quite long enough, and now you get to see our beautiful faces.
I'll be right back. I'm just gonna play a game of matchmaking whilst I'm here. It'll be fine.
All right. Fair enough. I get what you're trying to say, okay? Sorry, everyone. Keep apologizing. There's only so much we can do as casters. We do know that Dan has the ability to start the games, but unfortunately it's remote, and I'm not sat next to him to get him to actually start the game. So blame Dan. I say, blame Dan. Blame Dan. Who do you think's taking this whole thing though, Dan? From what you've seen so far,
I guess we haven't spoke about predictions, have we?
Who's going to actually win the tournament that we're currently commentating on? Yeah.
I think, I mean, you didn't get to see Inconceivable's games because you were casting the other winners bracket semi-final. I was really impressed with what I saw from Snip3down and Co. I think you've got 4 players who really want it. They've got that desire. How many times do I talk about players who always do everything to win the game? And I say Lethal is a similar player on Sentinels, right? He will jump on that ball when he needs to. He will dive into that stronghold when he needs to. And I think that's important. I think there are 4 players here who have that desire. Add that to their ability and the shots that they can hit as well. They suddenly become very scary. But you can very easily say the same thing about Optic Gaming here. They do exactly that. Their chemistry is going to be a little bit stronger. Optic are more practiced. We know that. So I would be expecting still Optic to come out on top. And I think it's all going to come down to these tiny little differences. Something I noticed in the Inconceivable versus Cloud9 game was, for example, on Oddball, just the ability to consistently play that ball, to be a nuisance and to throw that ball for Streets, for example, out towards bottom middle, to make it really difficult for your opposition team to pick up any time. And the same can be said for Strongholds. Make sure someone's always working their way around the map, be a nuisance, not allow them to pick up time on that. And Flag, again, we've saw E United doing it earlier against Optic. Get behind them on Bazaar. Be that player, be that thorn in the side, throw that flag out, bring their attention elsewhere. All these little tiny things can really make or break a series.
So we were discussing off camera a few moments ago, you know, what we could do for content pieces while we were waiting. And one of the ideas that came up was Twitch chat. We read it. You know, like mean tweets.
Casters read Twitch chat.
Read Twitch chat. I'm just saying, I'm opening it now. Okay, that's where we are. Well, we're waiting for this game to go. We've talked about so much Halo. We've talked about so much this tournament.
That's a dark place.
I know. I'm going to regret it in about 3 seconds' time. I saw Dan Gaskin Hart. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I presume the rest of the Twitch chat is just as popular. That's all I'm going to say. Just as positive and all that kind of stuff. We're only joking, of course. We love everybody who's watching us right now and appreciate you for sticking with us through this. Trust me. When I say trust me, we want the game as just as much as you do. We're the biggest Halo fans in the world, and nothing is going to stand between us getting the game played to you as quick as we physically can. But unfortunately, physically, Dan, just can't get it right now.
No, we can't. But something, I guess, like something I could talk about because I do love my stats. I do love my permutations and whatnot. Well, you might be asking yourself, what are these teams playing for? Considering we now know our teams that are going to be going to rally. Well, top 4 get the top 4 seeds. They'll all be in separate pools. The other 4 get randomly put into those pools. So it's very important you still get top 4 to give yourself a better pool.
I'm not getting ahead of myself.
I'm hoping it's starting here.
Because I've seen this video before, okay? I've seen this video before, and it wasn't followed up by gameplay, but I'm hoping it will be for everybody involved.
There's the German
Ivy.
Ivy.
For the delay, but here we go, and the game is finally live! Optic Gaming versus Inconceivable. Winners bracket finals. I mean, thank goodness, everybody. We're here, and off the start here, Inconceivable will lose 3.
See, now, if it's going to be a blowout, everyone's going to be disappointed. It better be worth the wait, and that's what I'm saying. Optic and Inconceivable, I want to see this go all the way down to the wire. And already, Mark, Optic are in the base of Inconceivable. They are pulling that flag, but we do see Falcated with the camera.
Well, we can make such a big play here. He's going to get turned on, but he gets the double beat down, taken down to no shields, but that is going to buy the time that Inconceivable needed. APG in a 1v1. Luckily, those shots were warmed up in matchmaking just a few seconds ago, and bubu dubu is going to be on that return with a sidekick in hand as well. That is a big defensive play early from Inconceivable.
Massive that we were able to see that camouflage be there. Otherwise, that could have been entirely different. We might have seen Optic go 1-0 up, and now we have the counter cap possibility. Something you see on Aquarius CTF, not all teams will prioritize pulling the flag after all 4 dead. They'll run it and they'll slay at the same time. It's what Inconceivable have tried to do here.
Sidekick is going to work for bubu dubu. My word, those shots connected. And Falcated is already moving that flag across the needle side. He's got it back to his bridge, and you can see the sign that says deliver. Well, it's going to be delivered right now. Inconceivable. First flag on the board in the game will go to the team dressed in blue.
And it does seem like a while ago when I mentioned the statistics for these game types, but I will reiterate, this is arguably one of Optic's worst game types in the whole pool of Halo Infinite. So if Inconceivable can take advantage of that and get a victory here, it will give them the perfect footing in this series. And what a way to start. Optic trying to respond with a pull of their own, but it looks like Inconceivable off spawn have done enough to stop it.
Yeah, Optic are actually looking to run back-to-back here, and they're picking up the kills to do so. That's 3 dead. Lucid was last alive. 1 player's come off respawn, as Falcated's already got that flag back to his closet. He's moving across the bridge, and just like a few moments ago. This could be Falcated converting. Bound's going to get that touch. Lucid is trying to do what he can to slow him down. Can he get around this corner? Lucid's going to be chasing him, and Lucid has done enough, at least to delay as the rest of Optic swarm now onto the Inconceivable base.
Snip3down was waiting to try and be sneaky and hoping he could assist, but that is a fantastic collapse from Optic Gaming to ensure that it wasn't going to be them falling 2-0 down. If they hadn't have been so successful with that push, it was going to be very detrimental, but they collapsed successfully, they pinched, they made sure they all pushed at the right time, and it really worked out for them.
1v1, Falcated versus APG. A little bit of assistance comes in from a teammate for APG as the kill does get traded out. But look at that flag. Now you've got Pistola sat up top of this Needles. He's got a sidekick, but more importantly, that flag is moving, and it's looking like it was 1-0 to Inconceivable. Not for too long, as Optic now are looking to tie this up. Flag picked up, flag put home.
Just put home as well, and APG was there waiting just as we were waiting for him in his matchmaking game earlier. He would have put that in if he needed to, but Inconceivable with the grenade, taking down the rest of Optic here. This is a really fast-paced, frantic game. This is what I expected from these two teams, just really pushing each other to that next level.
2 down for Optic Gaming. Inconceivable once again doing a great job of slaying their way towards the base, and it's Bound this time who is moving the flag through that closet tunnel towards his teammate. If there's anyone in the base, they're going to have to deal with Lucid for now. You can see Snip3down and Bubu just escorting this flag back. Such a vital and pivotal thing you have to do on this game to secure flag caps. Falcated has fallen though. Bubu is trying to get across, but that heat wave is going to be difficult to deal with, and Lucid shows no remorse, shows no fear, and now we'll get the flag moving on the counter cap.
Who'd have thought Lucid's got a heat wave in the hand, just seems to always have something, and banking shots off the walls as well, really knowing how to utilize this heat wave to full effect. I love the attempt from Inconceivable. They set up for angles, they knew how they wanted to run that flag, but unfortunately they just left too much alive on the side of Optic.
2 dead on either side. Bubu and Snip3down alive on the other side. It was APG and Ola for a few moments. Camo has popped top middle, so you're going to see these teams try and get into position to either burn that or get the kill and maybe see the power up being dropped. But you can see the pressure that both teams are putting on this side of the map. It has become the place to be, so to speak. I'm not talking about a nightclub in the center of London. I'm talking about how to run those flags.
Certainly controlling this car area and running flags the car area seems to be what a lot of the pros are agreeing is the best route right now. Certainly there are some arguments for going bottom mid if you have a real slaying power and you are getting 4 down after 4 down, but for the most part you can slay 2, you can pull that flag towards the closet area, and you really can get it to the other side of the map.
Look at this push coming in from Optic Gaming though. Sidekick, and they pick up the kill. Bubu is going to have to back down to Pistola, and Pistola is going to back down to the flag to get it moving once more. Any Bound in the death screen for now. 2 dead for Optic Gaming, which means that Inconceivable do have a chance to at least put some pressure across the map and maybe stop Pistola at the 75-yard line. That's what's going to happen. Lucid's going to move in though, and Lucid is going to get the touch on the flag, but he'll be taken down as well. APG last alive here, 4 dead for Optic. Wow. Inconceivable should be able to get this return.
I mean, during all that mayhem, Snip3down was on no shields, but still was able to get in and beat that flag down, and he was being a right nuisance, jumping around everywhere. The flag guy had no idea where Snip3down was, and because of that, they got the return, and now they're starting to run a flag of their own.
Falcated now. Commanding top middle, trying to put pressure onto APG at the back of the base. Good shots from him. TriPPPeY's going to be trying to sneak up behind him. Top plants here. Still not sure what those plants are, but one thing we are sure of is that Snip3down's trying to get that flag back to his base. It's only a few feet away from being converted. And as you can see from TriPPPeY's POV, he's just desperately trying to do what he can to stop that happening. Snip3down now kind of caught in the closet and going to be playing for kills instead. Flag out as well for Inconceivable, so Optic have got the ball. It's a bit of a standoff.
Every single player in the game right now has their head on the swivel, reacting fantastically to callouts, and you've got to when you are in the ultimate lobby here. But one more flag goes in here for Inconceivable. They take a 2-1 lead, but Bound is down the last remaining player.
Bound picks up 1 though. 2 dead for Optic as well. So it's going to be a battle for the 50-yard line. Or maybe, as we're seeing this game type develop down, it's going to be a battle for those closets. If you've got the heat wave, you pretty much control it.
Yeah, and it will leave room for people to flank round to P. You saw APG do it a little bit earlier. When that flag was being run, he ran down through bottom P, he got into the opposition base, and he tried to be that thorn in the side. But it doesn't always work out. You have to be a confident player if you're going to do that, because you know you're going to be prioritized at some point. But certainly it does seem this car side, this closet side, is very much the party area right now.
APG falls, Bound will fall as well. Falcated trying to move in to put pressure onto Pistola, that sidekick as well. Doing a lot of damage, not just to Pistola, but also a little bit of tick damage as well. There's the area denial coming in from those dynamo grenades that we've mentioned previously. Bubu and Falcated. It's one way to deal with Lucid, it's the double up.
Just looking across the stats in the moment, 16 and 12 for Falcated, bubu on the 13 and 12, Snip3down 14 and 11, so plenty of kills on the side of Inconceivable. They seem to be winning the Slayer battle at the moment. Pistola struggling ever so slightly with 7 and 13, just seems to be somewhat off the pace. A player who loves to react to those call-outs and just pick up those kills bottom mid, but there has been so much structure towards the car side. I can understand why Ola has struggled a little bit here.
Snip3down versus Ola. Snip3down's going to win that one. However, Palpatine getting involved once more to do a little bit of tick damage to Snip3down. Look at those shots from Lucid, though. Crispier than some deep-fried bacon, those ones, as bubu now is the next challenge for him. And you can see, once again, just not backing down, locking that reticle onto bubu and forcing him to retreat.
Lucid just playing this one patiently, and there's something that Optic have done really well throughout this, and I know they're 2-1 down, but they really have picked their times correctly. But one thing that's countered that is Inconceivable seem to always have someone there anchoring, waiting, and Snip3down has done it so often. He's really just been watching that flag, watching those runs, and prioritizing killing that guy who tries to flank behind.
3 minutes 30 here for Optic to get that flag moving. And at the moment, looks like they're trying to overload the lobby, but Snip3down doing so much damage to all three players who are entering. Now he's trying to survive as Pistola is going to get locked into that reticle, and it'll be Falcated who moves in to actually help him out. Falcated now will pick up yet another kill. TriPPPeY in the 1v1. TriPPPeY had to win that. TriPPPeY did, but not without Bound. Almost immediately cleaning it up, and here is bubu doing what he does best, getting in the base and causing problems.
3 were dead then for Optic Gaming, so off spawn they have to hit these grenades, but that is a fumble from the bubu. The rest of Inconceivable now need to push up ever so slightly, gain some map control here to not allow Optic to push up too far, but APG's already in the base.
Yeah, bubu's got to be careful here because the overextension has already come in from Optic. They are in control of most of the map. The respawns will be coming in from Inconceivable. APG tries to stay alive, but what a play that is from Bound. That is ballsy. He slid straight in as we see once again the Dynamo nades stretching and doing what they can. It's down on the flagpole, but Pistola comes in and gets the pull at the last second.
They got so close there trying to train that one in, but Pistola recognizing the danger, sweetly and swiftly pushing in to throw out the opposition flag, and that was so close for Inconceivable, but just not quite there.
I mean, that was a huge play. Optic, all of them, stepping up when it matters. With 2 minutes or so left on the clock, you feel like with the way this game has been going, it might have been a little bit too much of an ask for them to maybe turn this around. TriPPPeY with the thrust and TriPPPeY with the shots. Snip3down trying to rotate back with Bound, though. This is an opportunity maybe to pull as those two players are going to be stuck just for a moment, but TriPPPeY's going to re-challenge, and Bound will get the trade. Big play from Bound.
Slippy TriPPPeY, indeed, just being so awkward in the base, but they had to take him down, and thankfully they were able to, otherwise things would have got awkward, but this flag is moving right now. Inconceivable have got 3 dead too.
Lucid should get this one home unless there is one player alive who can cause some problems, but as you can see from the player names, nobody really there as Lucid camouflaged, but with flag in hand will tie this game up in our winners bracket final at 2-2. 1 minute 20 left on the clock.
It just seems like Aquarius CTF screams last minute equalizers, it screams overtime. We've seen it so much in Halo Infinite's history already, whether it be in Europe, whether it be in NA, it's just been happening all over the place. But Optic won't want to allow it to go to overtime. They've been there before, they know how this story ends. Instead, you've got 1 minute to try and prioritize pushing through that closet, working as a unit, get that flag out once more, and try and take the W here.
Snip3down winning the battle against Pistola. TriPPPeY now trying to pick up the pieces, seeing what he can scavenge inside of the closet. Bubu and Lucid trade as well, when it looks like TriPPPeY was going to try and play his life, but hello, Falcated sniffed him out. And most importantly, removed him from the closet. Falcated now trying to move up to these dynamo grenades. I wonder if he's just waiting for them on the respawn so that they can make that push, but here's APG.
And I wonder, are these being timed? Because two players trying to prioritize those dynamo grenades, the sizzle sticks, as Jersey calls them, because they really can make that difference. They can zone out players, they can give you information, and they can get you some huge kills. 20 seconds left, though. One last push for both teams.
Yeah, the problem here for Inconceivable is they're kind of trapped in the fridge. And even though they might be a little bit hungry, it's not where you want to be here on Aquarius. Lucid picks up the kill onto Bound. APG will pick up 2. Trippy picks up another. And all of a sudden, the pressure is on Inconceivable with his last few seconds. Is that flag going to get pulled? Oh. It is, but just a second too late. OT, that's where we start to head ourselves. It just seems to happen so often here on Aquarius CTF, but both teams seem to have the other's number when it comes to those flag pulls. They know exactly how they're going to run them because they're running it very similarly. They are focusing that car area, they're pulling the flag in the same position, so they know how to stop it because they've been on the receiving end of it so many times. The camouflage was really important and played a massive factor in so many times in that game, so I'm expecting it to see prioritized here right from the get-go. Falcated. A long overextension to start off here, just trying to get behind enemy lines, but now he's got to retreat back. As you can see, his teammate Bound is engaged with Pistola, so I like this play from Bound, recognizing that a 1v3 against the respawners is probably something he's not going to be able to win too easily. He's going to go for that buddy system and move in with his teammate. Trippy is going to get beaten down twice and put into the dirt, but Ola will jump out for that double kill. Or at least 2 in quick succession, 2 down for Inconceivable at this point.
You'll notice how all these players, they know how the melee system works by this point. They recognize that actually it is so much about getting up close and personal, utilizing that thrust, trying to hit those back smacks, and of course the sidekick, meleeing faster than the BR. It's very good to have that in your weapon arsenal.
Great play from Pistola. I mean, just broke the shield and immediately ran it, knowing that he couldn't be challenged. And now look at this, Inconceivable are 2 dead. Pistola's got that flag past the 50-yard line. He's already got it back into his gen. This is genius from Pistola. What seems like such a simple, quick decision turns into what could be the winning cap. And Optic Gaming clutch up, and it's all down to Ola.
And what is arguably one of Optic's worst game types, well, they're starting to turn it around. And look how glorious they look on the screen as well. But Optic, they played it perfectly. Pistola looked great for that last final pull, but what was happening off screen was Lucid going nuts with the heat wave. That's what you need as a player. You need to have that support when you're running the flag. You need to have someone just consistently slaying out for you. And not only was he slaying, he also got in position to finish that flag just in case Ola went down.
Yeah, impressive stuff from Optic Gaming in those final moments, but I'm always impressed by the players that kind of are made without firing a gun, if that makes sense. The kind of, like I'm talking about, that recognition of the situation from Pistola to know he'd broken a shield and then he had the time to get that flag out and get it moving, even though the stats don't show it, Dan. A great example, but Pistola does bring to this lineup. On the other side of things, only Snip3down managing to get into the right side of the numbers as far as the KD ratio. 24 and 23 for him. But once again, APG putting up some big kills this time. 27 for him. Trippy, though, 25 and 18, the standout player.
Just to give you an update, what's happening in the elimination bracket as well between Sentinels and Cloud9, which is what we would have watched earlier. That's all tied up 1-1. A very close series indeed between those two teams. It's definitely a mouth-watering tie, and I'm very looking forward to who is going to be able to take that one and who is going to progress in the elimination bracket. But for Optic, they looked pretty woeful on Aquarius CTF at times previously in the Open Series, but here in this tournament this week, they've actually played it 3 times, they've won it 3 times. So they seem to have found that winning formula now that they didn't quite have in previous tournaments.
Well, this is some of the highlights from the game, and it was a lot of battles around this side of the map, and the sidekick is going to be a massive influence. Both of them spawning, or should I say one spawning either side inside of those closets. So those close quarter battles to get that a little bit of damage done, get that shield broken and the melee off is certainly going to be to your advantage if you have the sidekick over the battle rifle that you start the game with. But Pistola, I was just so impressed with the routes he was taking during this game. Like I mentioned, maybe didn't have the best stats in the game, but certainly was a nuisance for the entirety of it.
Stats don't matter if they won the game, right? And I know that Ola is one of those players who very much reacts to call-outs at all times, and he will finish those one-shots. He's always been a player like that, but if I'm honest, the rest of Optic, they didn't really need their one-shots finished because they were just killing everything on their own. The amount of times we saw the heat wave come into play and just 1v1 fights were being won by both Lucid and TriPPPeY. And APG was just constantly behind enemy lines. He was always rotating around through pink side, and he was saying, I'm just going to keep getting in your base. And if you're not going to prioritize me, I'm going to make your life a living hell. And boy, did he do that.
Well, moving towards our next game type, we're going to be going over to Streets Slayer, which is going to be certainly an interesting one for sure with the way that Inconceivable have been shooting, but maybe slightly more worrying for them in the fact that they got outslayed in that first objective game type than before the series got underway. But they're going to put those thoughts to the back of their mind. A chance for them to tie things up in this best of 5, but Optic Gaming, you have to say, Dan, still looking so strong.
Optic just look like they have an answer for everything. Even when they're down and out, even when you think maybe it's not going to be going in their favor, they just turn things around. One player will step up, and then as soon as one does step up, the rest of the team seem to follow suit. I'm expecting to see a lot of prioritization for the Bulldog here, and teams are going to be passing it around and trying to do as much damage as possible.
Rockets immediately in the hands of Optic Gaming, as APG has them. 2 fallen to other Optic players around the map for now. Ola trying to move up onto those trash canisters as now the push is going to be made. APG tries to move in and collapse, like you're saying, on these final players alive. But Inconceivable doing a pretty good job of surviving for now. But as I say that, it's going to be 5-2 now, the lead to Optic.
They did delay well, and Bound gets a really important kill. But now there's 2 dead, and it means that the rest of Inconceivable need to quickly try and make up for those deaths, which is something they did do quite successfully there. And already I'm seeing how Optic are going to play this game type. If they get 1 or 2 dead, they are going to push on their advantage. They're going to make sure they take out those remaining players to really try and push that lead to a 4, 5, 6 kill gap at all times.
And it's a scary moment for Inconceivable, because every single time that you're not trading and not going for 1 for 2 in kills, Optic are going to collapse and Optic are going to make you play into their hands a little bit here, as Snip3down's going to be playing around the arcade. We're on the board with bubu right now, and you can see the Lucid's just kind of suppressing them at the moment with that Sentinel beam, but it doesn't matter because bubu is going to hit the shots he needs to create the opening here. 2 dead for Optic.
And are we going to see Inconceivable now do the same thing as Optic were doing, Mark? Are they going to collapse? Are they look to try and prioritize these advantages, or are they going to play this one a little bit differently? Sit back, allow the spawns for Optic, but force Optic to be consistently spawning down towards station so they always have that height advantage. There's 2 different ways you can play, but it looks like Optic off spawn, they all pushed out successfully, and they picked up some big frags here.
They did indeed. It just seems like Inconceivable are just a second or so off each other at the moment. But look at this position coming in from Bound. Manages to turn that situation into a trade. Pistola will also pick up 1 mid-map, as it looks like they're trying to set up around those rockets that are going to be coming up in just a few moments. But the score still in the favor of Optic, and it's that awkward moment now for Inconceivable where a couple of things don't go your way and all of a sudden you're playing catch-up.
Assault rifles, bulldogs, heat waves, there's always something in these Optic Gaming player hands. And look how everything slows down now as the rockets came up, APG was able to grab them, and Inconceivable don't want to give away any free kills.
APG did have those rockets, like you mentioned. 3 now fall to Inconceivable, and the collapse is going to come in on bubu from all of the players. But look at that spawn that came in. Pistola, the Scarpa's back to once where he came, as the rest of his teammates not quite into position to keep him alive for now. Pistola will fall, but a 6-2 start for him in this game is the perfect way to kick things off. Falcated in a 1v1. Falcated losing the 1v1 to APG, as Lucid also falls alongside him. TriPPPeY trying to play his life, and look at that teamwork. Pistola and TriPPPeY working so well together.
A map like this lends perfectly to the playstyle of Pistola, and I think that's why you see the fact he's 6-3, but he's got no assists. Usually, he's the player to finish off those kills. He's just listening. He doesn't call out as much as the rest of the team. Often those comms are flooded by the other 3 players, and he will just happily listen and do the damage after it's been dealt by the rest of his teammates. This is starting to become even more so of a lead now. 7 kills in favor of Optic Gaming, and Inconceivable, they need to stop this pattern of play, and maybe that will do it.
If Ola would have done that, that wouldn't have been a nice thing to see if you're an Inconceivable fan. It would have been pretty cool from my point of view, though. Optic Gaming now moving to set up, and a couple of them respawning around that tram station as Inconceivable try and keep the aggression up. But at the moment, the aggression is being met with bulldogs, rocket launchers, BRs, 6 consoles. It doesn't matter what it is at the moment. because Optic Gaming are just looking so strong here, Dan.
It's now an 8-kill lead. And every time you see that kill feed, you're right, it's either rockets or it's a bulldog. It's a power weapon, essentially. And that's something that Optic have always been able to show their dominance over other teams, is how well they do maneuver their way around the map and pick up these weapons. I mean, Pistola there, of course, knowing where the rockets are, and at the moment they're being passed around. No one can really get hold of them. Trippy with the perfect.
I mean, this man, he just impresses me more and more every single time I'm on his POV. He just isn't making mistakes. And when you ain't making mistakes and your shots are looking as nice as they are, you're going to be one hell of a player. 9 and 4 at the moment is Trippy. Bulldog in hand, make that 10 and 4 as Trippy is starting to roll, and all of a sudden an Optic Gaming are starting to steamroll Inconceivable.
Yeah, it just seems like when Inconceivable turn a corner, there's Trippy, bang, he's got a bulldog, and it's so difficult to play the map when you're always fearing someone pushing around with a shotgun or with rockets or with a stalker rifle. It makes everything just near impossible at times, and now with a 10-kill advantage, Optic can play this one however they like. They can chill. They just need to stay in a close proximity of one another so they can finish off and trade kills, and they will win this game if they play that way.
Optic aren't letting them rest for a moment, though. Look at this. It's just stifling from Optic Gaming. They're playing this game at their own pace, and Inconceivable quite simply cannot keep up at the moment. Optic Gaming are on the running track. Inconceivable look like they're in the mud at the moment. A 10-kill lead for Optic Gaming. You don't see them throwing this one away.
Good trade there from Snip3down, but you know full well that Optic have got Inconceivable scrambling at the moment. I can only imagine that comms are going to be a little bit all over the place. Off spawn, they haven't been able to regroup very often. They're always fighting either just as a solo or as a duo. Very rarely have they been able to fight as a full 4 in a team, because Optic are just keeping them on that really restricted spawn cycle, and APG's got another set of rockets.
I mean, APG's had rockets pretty much all game, it would seem. 11 kills for Brad. Only the 8 deaths to go alongside it. Every single member on Optic Gaming, as I look across, outside of Pistola, was on the right side of a kill-death ratio. Bubu dubu, he'll be taken down as APG once again adds to his tally, 42 to 27 at the moment. You want me to start the grill up, Dan, because if they're not careful, we might be having a little bit of extra meat on the barbie today.
And Falcated probably fearing for his life right now, because you know full well, as soon as they realized Falcated was the last remaining player in station, Optic were gonna push it. Relentless aggression, not giving Inconceivable time to breathe whatsoever. This one is all but over, unless it was a miraculous comeback from Inconceivable. But the way these boys are shooting, Mark, on set, Optic are just on a different level.
Well, they avoid the steak dinner. I think that's one thing that Inconceivable can maybe take away from this game, but outside of that, it's just been the Optic Gaming show. 2 kills away from closing things out. There's the 49th. Charge because we can't lose. Bulldog in hand. That's the game. Optic Gaming up by 2.
Up by 2 and 1 away from moving into the grand final once more here in the NA Kickoff Qualifier. But for Inconceivable, even though that wasn't the best of games for them, we do have to look at the statistics previously for this Optic squad. They are very good on that game type. It is one of their best, and for good reason. They know how to dominate the weapons. They know how to push together as a unit. They're constantly collapsing on their opponents, and we're going to need to see something a little bit different from Inconceivable going into the rest of this series.
The tough thing for Inconceivable is, how do you react to a game like that? I can't remember anything where I'm looking at Inconceivable during that game and going, hey, that was a good play. They were just being stifled constantly. And when you're going into an oddball game type here, Dan, when we move over to our next game, which is potentially going to be the last one of the series if Optic keep playing at the level that they are, you know, it's so difficult to break a setup on this team. We're seeing them win their ones. We're seeing them control the weapons. We're seeing them do everything you need to do to be successful here in Halo Infinite. Inconceivable, I just don't think they have an answer quite yet with how kind of young this team still is as far as their cycle and the 4 players playing together is concerned. Yeah,
that's perfect analysis. Yet is the key word, because there is so much potential for this Inconceivable roster. When you talk about setups, when you talk about breaking setups, a lot of that comes from practicing as a team, getting that chemistry, understanding how you as a team want to break setups, having the IGL being able to call several different ways of when you actually want to try and utilize different setups as well. So it will naturally come to Inconceivable, but right now it just seems like Optic have a few more plays in the playbook, as it were. And for Inconceivable, this will just be a great learning experience. And now the series isn't over. They definitely can get back into this. If they play the way they did against Cloud9, if they get into some of these game types that maybe they're just a little bit more comfortable with, then certainly they could make it a very difficult series for Optic Gaming. But it's hard to bet against an Optic that just performed like that in the second game.
Yeah, I think comfortable is one word used there, and it was anything but that last game. One thing I was so impressed with by Optic in that Slayer was their ability to get those 2 initial kills and then just collapse onto the final 2 players alive. They kind of showed disregard for map control, because they knew if they could keep them on those staggered spawns down, they were always going to have a man advantage across the map wherever they wanted to push by keeping that player in the respawn. And I think that kind of contributes to the fact that they had so much play and so much openings, excuse me, to make the play to get the rockets. We saw them in the hands of APG pretty much the entire game, creating that space around mid-map by being so aggressive on the respawners. It's just difficult to combat if you have a team that is so coordinated doing it against you.
I don't know if it was just coincidence that they timed their pushes so successfully for getting those slays whilst rockets were about to come up. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, because this Optic roster just seems to have a little bit of everything when it comes to strategy. But we move across now to Oddball Recharge. I said earlier that Aquarius CTF was Optic's worst game type. Well, it was until that victory. Actually, statistically now, Oddball Recharge is technically their worst game type, because they've lost that twice as well to C9 across the last few weeks. So there has been vulnerabilities. There has been ways that they've been shut down on this game type, and it's about a question: can Inconceivable find some of the success that Cloud9 did in previous tournaments?
An update from the other side of the bracket as well. Sentinels versus Cloud9 still tied up at 1-1. So both teams giving it as good as they get, and that will be a very, very interesting one to keep an eye on. So maybe keep a tab open and get one of the player streams up to make sure you don't miss any of that. But as we head into our next game, this could be Inconceivable falling down to that elimination bracket, Dan. And to be honest, with the way they've been playing, I think this is going to be difficult for them to bounce back if it is a 3-0 victory, because Optic Gaming have, I don't want to be rude to the way Inconceivable have found themselves in this series, but there's been a bit of a stuffing, Dan, especially in that last game. They've been beaten about a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas is coming up, and I mean, a stuffing is quite the right word here, and it's something that they're going to have to try and turn around on Oddball Recharge. And my worry is, even though, yes, statistically, this is Optic Gaming's worst game type now, Optic are a team that if they are bad at a game type, you know full well they would have done their research. They would have been looking at why they were bad at their game type, looking at why they lost that game type, and they would have been practicing that game type. We'll see whether that comes to fruition here.
Well, this is the chance maybe for Inconceivable to get a foothold. Opening strategy is going to be vital, and when the first kill doesn't go your way, maybe things don't look as strong, but the second and third do. TriPPPeY manages to pick up a double, so Pistola and TriPPPeY, the last 2 alive. And speaking of Pistola, we're going to watch a little bit of his point of view, which is nothing to ever be disappointed about. He's got that mangler in his hands, but where was that camo? It looks like it might have been burnt by one of the players. Oddball is closest here to Snip3down, who's trying to maybe make a little bit of a play, but unfortunately he's going to be taken down.
One of the things that Optic were unable to do against Cloud9 when they lost this game type in previous tournaments is they weren't scavenging the time as much as C9. The kind of 1 or 2 seconds that sometimes you can pick up in really unorthodox areas is where Cloud9 found their success. So if Inconceivable could do something similar here, get this ball out of bottom middle, get it into a different area, and actually just stack up some time and just slowly but surely dwindle away at Optic's chances of getting back into the game. And they're doing it just here. Bubu has actually got the ball to yellow. The ideal setup for ball, I would say, is having the ball in this area.
Also got the shock rifle, and if you can hit a couple of nasty shots with this, a couple of headshots, things all of a sudden look a little bit more simple. However, a couple of grenades is going to make it a little bit more difficult. Ola's going to be pushing, and even though 2 shots did connect, it was only body shots, so they don't get the kill initially. Bubu would be taken down as well, and what a break this has been, by the way, from Optic Gaming. 4 dead for Inconceivable. That was far too simple.
You talk about breaking setups, and that is the perfect demonstration of it there from Optic. Collapsing from all areas, utilizing the mangler to get up close and personal of the priority position, which is top yellow, the player that was holding the shock rifle. Do Inconceivable have the same kind of strategy? Well, it looks like they've been able to walk their way into pipes here and at least take the first down.
Pretty much a tight game at this point. No one's really been able to hold things down. Kill's gonna be traded, but a big push coming in from Inconceivable. Onto the blue side of the map. Great situational awareness there from APG. Unfortunately for him, Falcated and Snip3down both lurking around bottom middle. I'm going to pick up that kill, but here's Pistola. A couple of shots put into his back. As now Falcated has the opportunity maybe to pick up that first kill that we were talking about being as so important when you are trying to hold a setup. Manages to get one, and not only getting one as well, he's got the Mangler in his hands. Camo Mangler, the only thing that is maybe better than just having the camo itself.
Yeah, and also just can be... It can strike fear into the rest of the lobby when you know Camo and Mangler is on the map. And Falcated had so many decisions to make when he had Camo there. He saw Pistola walk past him, but he knew not to try and go for a back smack and follow him because his footsteps would have given him away. Ola would have turned around, and you can just see that little glimmer of camouflage. So Falcated played it perfectly, and he's on a killing spree now because of it.
Look at the score as well. They're about to cross the 50-point mark in this game, so halfway to closing out that first round. 3 minutes and 10 seconds left on the clock as well. Falcated just trying to do his best to be the bodyguard for his teammate here. Is just holding that ball, but here comes the push now from Optic Gaming. Snip3down picking up one kill, Falcated picking up another as well. Trippy the only player alive who can maybe look to force the play ball. The play ball, is it going to come in? Yes, it just slides over the edge there. Bound flies in once more. Trippy trying to do what he can to stay alive, and for once Trippy going to lose the 1v1 as Inconceivable still hold that lead.
Unfortunately, just not enough ammo there, and the reload I think threw him off a little bit too much. But the ball now being back into top middle, suddenly attentions are turned to the camouflage. Both teams are going to somewhat set up for this, try and prioritize it, because it could be the difference of getting that ball out of top middle. It's not something you always see. The camouflage is not often going to pick up the ball, but if it can just allow you to toss it towards a teammate, it can really make a difference.
Trippy versus Falcated. Falcated will win, but not without taking a beat down, which will be immediately traded out as Lucid slides in, not only for the trade but also for the camouflage. APG holding that ball in a very interesting spot around the batteries as well, just scrapping up some ball time, as it's now around halfway for Optic Gaming to turn this game into a tied game. Lucid not only picking up a shock rifle, picking up the oddball with that grapple as well, and it's always wonderful to see him doing his weekly shop here on Recharge as he picks up everything you need.
Camo into grapple, into shock rifle, into ball. The plays that Lucid has just made is everything that is amazing about the sandbox here in Halo Infinite, because he has just allowed so much time to be gathered for Optic Gaming, which wouldn't have been gathered if he hadn't have been able to provide so much for them. But a big double coming out of Bound just to stop the time here for Optic.
Bubu trying to flank as well. APG is going to have to wait for his shields. Bubu is not going to be able to push for now, but Bubu kind of juked him a little bit there by taking a slightly different angle. Snip3down now holding the ball, and what a transition this is. 3 dead for Optic Gaming. 74 seconds left on the clock, and Snip3down also has the sword, but that is unfortunate timing for Snip3down, but even worse for Trippy, as Snip3down will cut him down to size for just a few moments. And look at that clock, Dan. 87 and rising here. Inconceivable getting closer and closer to closing out this first round.
Yeah, it has to be some perfect grenades now from Optic Gaming to stop this one. Bubu should have enough, but look at the grapple, but it doesn't matter. Snip3down is there. That is going to be the first round for Inconceivable. And, I mean, you know, the sword is powerful. It does beat down faster as well. You don't see as many trades as you might have seen in previous Halos when that sword strikes you and you try to beat it down. It doesn't work out, but at least Snip3down, he positioned himself in an area where he could keep that ball very much protected.
Okay, you're trying to put the pressure onto Trippy here off the start of this game, and he's going to slide straight out. I think it's a little bit of a battle maybe going down for that sword. Bubu going to be flanking, but he's going to run into Pistola and APG, who are working together for now. But while all this damage has been going down, while the kills have been going down as well, Camo has found itself into the chest of Bound, so an opportunity for him to maybe make a play. Nobody making a move on that ball as yet.
Does have the Mangler as well. Gets the back smack, and sword is available if they want to go for it. I think the Mangler will be enough for them. And for Inconceivable, they just need to not allow Optic to get up any sort of momentum. I think Optic will be a little bit frustrated with losing that first one. There was a lot of scrappy time that was picked up by Inconceivable, but also some solid setups. And Inconceivable showing that even though they're not necessarily as well practiced as Optic Gaming, they certainly can be well drilled.
Yeah, this thing's the hand cannon. It's being used absolutely perfectly by Bound, and now he's going to try and show us every single way you can use this thing with a one-hit beatdown if anyone's foolish enough to walk past and not check their corners. Lucid, I don't want to call you foolish, but you've just been made to pay. And that killing spree is going to mean ball time here for Inconceivable. Only 16 seconds, but it is starting to creep up. Snip3down the man holding the ball.
You really have to check all your corners here on Halo Infinite. There's so many little nooks and crannies you can hide behind as TriPPPeY gets the double, but will be shut down eventually. You can't just walk aimlessly into some of these spaces now, because there could be anyone waiting with a mangler, with a sword, even just with a backsmack.
Shock rifle in the hands of APG. And a sword, we just got a little flash of there as well. It doesn't have a weapon to do consistent damage. It has to be big damage. So you're going to see bubu moving to pick up that ball. Snipe down. Will be taken down. Bound. He's going to bravely challenge APG and take him down as well. So both weapons down, but most importantly here, Oddball still in the hands of Inconceivable. And it's all about that score. And it's heading in the right direction for Inconceivable, but TriPPPeY maybe has the chance to break down with his camo.
Just flying through the air, doing his best Spider-Man impression, but something I'm impressed with is Inconceivable consistently getting this ball into yellow, because they're getting so much time every single time they get a hold. It's 15 to 20 seconds, and it makes it so difficult for Optic Gaming to get back into it, because now with a 45-point lead, Inconceivable can continue to play scrappy ball time. Optic need a really solid setup to get back into this one.
And one stat that's really jumping out to me at the moment, well, I can say two stats. One is Lucid, currently no kills on the board for him in this round so far. He's 0 and 6. On the other side, bubu also 0 and 5, but he does have 101 seconds of ball time. So he spent most of the time with that ball in his hands. TriPPPeY trying to look for a break. Lucid does pick up his first kill now. Ola will pick up another one, which is going to create the opening maybe that they're looking for here. Lucid now with the ball in hand, rotating towards a teammate. This is a really important kill for bubu to take one player down with him. He manages to do so, and that's just going to stagger things here. But obviously Gaming now have that hold. Can they turn this one around?
They've got the pipes area and they've got sword to cover it. This is when it starts to get a little bit terrifying for Inconceivable. But oh, the perfect use of the repulsor, not allowing the sword to get the kill.
Bound going to think about re-challenging, and Bound going to re-challenge. Pistola going to have to back up to keep that sword in his control. Two players have fallen for Inconceivable though, as Pistola is basically bait at the moment. They know that they can't push him, so now they're just stuck up on that top platform. And Pistola is just going to re-invite himself to this battle. Snip3down is not as weak as maybe Pistola was hoping he would be. Two players fall for Optic. Inconceivable with a chance to push.
Sometimes you'll commit to a fight because you've had a call out of one shot or he's weak, but you know, it's not always going to be as weak as maybe your teammate thinks it is, and sometimes they've gained a little bit of shields. You do have to sometimes live and die by the sword of your teammates though. The Falcated pushes in, but look at that. Inconceivable always got a player to make sure they finish off that kill and they get a little bit of scrappy time.
Well, they got the camo, but it wasn't a camo that's really going to change this game. Just a play ball, really the only effect that bubu had in that particular circumstance. As Snip3down and Bound pick up some kills. Lucid with the shock rifle in hand may have a chance to even things up, but look at the pressure coming in from Inconceivable. Feels like they're starting to roll a little bit more now, Dan. They're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable, but it's too late in the series. They do still have the lead, and they do have the ball in their possession once more.
They still have a round advantage as well, so they can afford to let one slip and still come away with a victory here in this map, as Lucid getting up close and personal. And the movement that we see from this man, he's just utilizing everything that's available to him, whether it be repulsor, whether it be grapple, and he's always got a weapon in the back pocket that can do some up close and personal damage. Mangler, he's got commando, or he's got a sword. Like, he's just terrifying to play against.
TriPPPeY has the sword for now for Optic. Lucid will go down. Three players also falling, and TriPPPeY is the last alive. So if Inconceivable are quick and manage to collapse, they might be able to pick up some ball time here. TriPPPeY now has been eliminated. bubu is going to try and stay alive as well, but Pistola will take him down. So Snip3down with that ball in hand isn't going to have the protection that he needs, and that'll be a clean break here from Optic Gaming. They need the hold. Falcated has a chance to make a play though with that shock rifle, and he does exactly that.
So important that Falcated just milks a little bit of time here. APG recognizing there's only 1 minute on the clock, so we'll pick up the ball, and Inconceivable will have the decision to make. Do we just start to slay rather than set up and keep Optic away from this ball? Optic do have the chance to hold and set up, but camouflage is coming up in 4 seconds. Inconceivable could try and use that to break this setup.
bubu versus Ola just grazes the shoulder.
Ball carrier kill.
Snip3down gets an important kill though, which might just even things up here in numbers. Snip3down has the ball in hand as well, or maybe Snip3down's thinking I can just milk some ball time. Well, the attention is being turned to my teammates. 3 dead here for Optic Gaming. APG, last player alive. He's off the respawn as well. This could be the second round if Optic do not move quickly. And this could be the game going to Inconceivable and them getting a foothold in the series.
I love the positioning from Snip3down as well. Just ready to play that ball top middle if things get hairy because there's only 50 seconds left. Big doubles from APG though.
APG getting the triple. And that needed to happen. 93 points on the board. APG leading the charge. And managing to take 3 with him. Falcated, he's in the turbine though.
Oh, wow.
And he's managed to pick up a double kill now. And he's managed to slide in to take that ball as well.
Just 4 seconds left needed here. This could be it for time, and it could be for the map. It's going to be on set, and Optic Gaming just not able to collapse quick enough on Inconceivable. An entirely different story from what we saw in Street Slayer. The series goes on. Inconceivable not rolling over and showing their belly just yet.
I think Optic will want to watch the end of that game once more. They managed to clear out those yellow pipes. They managed to clear out everywhere they needed to and break the setup, but the respawn came in and they weren't quick enough to react to it. Flank just came in from Falcated, a simple play to make, but when the oddball is presented to you at your feet and you've only got a few seconds left, all you got to do is clean up a couple of one-shots. You're going to be feeling very, very happy to see that situation unfold, but 2-0 to Inconceivable, just as maybe I was starting to write them off a little bit, and I'm sure a lot of people at home were starting to write them off a little bit. We find ourselves in a game 4 and we have some stats to bring you as well.
But it was that positioning from Snip3down right at the end as we do look at those stats, and bubu didn't have the best of games, but it didn't really matter. He was certainly putting assists on the board. He was holding the ball. We know that. He was very much just the objective player throughout that game. But right at the end, Snip3down was holding the ball in on bat ledge, because it meant if they did get pushed from behind, he could toss that ball out to an uncomfortable position where Optic had to expose themselves. They did expose themselves. They all forced themselves towards Turbine in a little bit of a panic, and then it was the perfect spawn for Inconceivable. Falcated got a big double, and it ultimately was enough to win them the game.
One thing that always stands out to me is Lucid's stats, usually for all the right reasons, but for there, just a little bit of a below par performance, maybe from him in that game. And that contributed certainly towards the lack of success for them across those 2 rounds. But you mentioned the ball time for bubu, 101 points, by far and away the most in the game, so no surprise to see him not picking up quite as many kills. Very difficult to do that and you've got an odd ball in your hands. But this is some of the replays here, Dan, and the first round for me, I think, was really, really good from Inconceivable. Their ability to hold the setup for longer periods of time was something that really stood out for me.
Yeah, they always were getting that ball in towards the pipe area, weren't they? And Optic were consistently having to collapse and trade out those kills and break the setup. And even though Optic were successfully breaking that setup, it was where Inconceivable were putting that ball when they died. It was usually top middle, sometimes it was down the stairs, or sometimes it was just throwing it as close to the window so it was exposed to grenades. And that meant that when Optic had actually collapsed and got those kills, they weren't really able to get any ball time to reply to, because Inconceivable were always there off spawn to be a real nuisance. There was quite often one player remaining. Falcated was often that player, it has to be said, picking up that one extra kill, milking for those few extra seconds. And this was that final moment. Look where Snip3down's managed to play that ball to. That leaves it in such a vulnerable area. Even though they caught it, there was always going to be the possibility that there could be spawners over towards Elevator. It did favor Inconceivable, but Optic were positioned in a place that allowed those spawns to happen. But anyway, we move over to map number 4.
We do indeed. The 4th map of the series. We're going for some more Strongholds action, and this time we're going to be over at Live Fire. Now, what's the stats for this one, Dan? I know you like to keep your eyes on Optic and some of their stronger and weaker game types. What's this one for them?
This is a 100% win record for Optic Gaming. They have only played it 4 times though, so you can only take so much away from it. But certainly they haven't really found any weaknesses just yet. It seems like they're comfortable when it comes to Strongholds, but most importantly, and a better stat, is Optic have never lost on Live Fire. It doesn't matter if it's Slayer, Strongholds, or Oddball, they seem to know their way around this map. So that spells bad news for Inconceivable. However, if Inconceivable can do the unthinkable and take us to a Game 5, they would upset that 100% perfect record.
I mean, it sounds like a tall order here for Inconceivable to try and overturn a map that Optic Gaming probably at this point call home ground advantage. But if they want to extend this series and send it to a Game 5, which I'm sure that everybody who's watching right now, us included, wants to see, they're going to have to do exactly that. Sniper Rifle has been impactful in these game types as well. You mentioned Snip3down. Looks like a man a little bit back to form when he's got that weapon in his hands, and maybe that's going to be the thing that's going to be the turnaround for Inconceivable. If they can keep a Snip3down alive, find him in a position where he can hit those shots with Sniper and keep them at a numbers advantage.
Yeah, Snip3down really was the difference maker when they played against C9 on the Slayer of this map. And if they can just shut him down, though, if they can not allow Snip3down to go off and be that difference maker, then maybe Inconceivable may start to struggle. But I'm excited for this one. Optic Gaming have never lost live fire in competitive play, and that's 17 times they've played it, by the way.
Sniper rifle will be in the hands of Optic Gaming to start off with. Lucid going to be the player who does have it. As we see players starting to transition, a lovely little quick flick shot there with the sniper rifle to break the shields, and this is a much better start for Lucid already. And pretty much what he had in the entirety of the last game that we saw on Recharge. Sniper rifle going to be his, and also power-ups early on going to be going over to Optic Gaming. Overshield going to be popped now. And maybe thinking about picking up the heat wave too, and this is what you do not want to do if you're Inconceivable, Dan. Give Lucid this weapon.
You've also got to know which strongholds to prioritize and how you want to approach this as a team. There are two different ways you can play strongholds. You can be the team who likes to play with a little bit more structure, try and hold C and B, spawn the other team over towards A, or you can rotate as a unit. But look at Snip3down straight away pushing and trying to take that sniper rifle off of Optic Gaming.
That's such a big play from Inconceivable. It's not just taking, you know, Lucid out, which is tough. It's also taking the sniper rifle out of his hands, the sniper rifle out of Optic's hands, as well as the heat wave, and dealing with the overshield. So even though Lucid was stacked to the heavens, he didn't have too much of an impact for now. But Inconceivable, you have to say, have had a really good start to this one, Dan. Currently fighting over C. It looks like Optic are going to try and make the play over at B, as Pistola's flanking through to make a few problems for them to do so. But 32-4 the score at the moment, but Optic finally turning things around. And if you're Inconceivable, you got to be a little bit wary of this triple cap coming in.
Such great crossfire there coming from Pistola and TriPPPeY, just holding their angles, making sure that Inconceivable have to always push through a choke, and they were almost ambushed. Lucid getting up close and personal finally does connect. But Inconceivable, they did have the early lead, but now look at this, a triple cap on set. Optic certainly know how to put pressure on the other team here on live fire.
Yeah, if you noticed as well, that was the what I termed the reverse Father Christmas or Santa Claus, wherever you're from in the world, from Lucid as he shot up the chimney, up the vent towards top mid instead of the other way around. There was a lovely bit of baiting and switching, using that repulsor to get up there in front of the POV we were watching. APG now pushing in with that overshield, as you say. And a chance to put some real pressure onto Inconceivable now. The score starting to almost get to that point where you got to start worrying if you're Inconceivable, knowing you don't have many mistakes to make, and knowing the record that Optic Gaming have. They're picking up the kills, and they're also picking up the strongholds.
Yeah, every time that Inconceivable were moving to one of these more structured strongholds, where I'm talking about C and A, Optic are just moving over to the other one. Look, A's being taken and C is being taken because of that. So great recognition from Optic, knowing that Inconceivable are going to be transitioning to try and get A, to try and get C, whereas realistically, Inconceivable need to take B off of Optic here if they really want to try and put some points on the board.
APG with a sniper, but nothing connecting for now. B and C in their control. Falcated, unfortunately, for APG. Survived for just a few seconds. He had no ammo to work with that sniper rifle. Finally going to be able to pick up the reload. You're seeing the heatwave trails as well, and that's going to be another player with a weapon that's going to have a big impact. Look at this angle from APG as well. Just doing a lot of damage at the moment, surviving well as his teammates move towards A to get that conversion.
But look what happened. Inconceivable recognized they needed B. They moved over towards B. Optic slayed them at B. The last remaining player of Inconceivable went to C, so Optic said, okay, well, we'll have A. There's just such good reaction at the moment from Optic to transition from one stronghold to the other, but finally a little bit of control now, and a lot of control, with it being total control for Inconceivable.
APG gonna have to work with his team to start the conversion over A, but he knows that Snip3down is there and he's gonna get the over shield, but he's not, because the teammate will finish off. The damage done. Falcated now jumping up top middle. APG doing everything he can at the moment to convert A, almost single-handedly at this point. Falcated's in position to challenge, but a teammate is there to hold APG's hands and give him the support that he needs to get the conversion. A, B in control of Optic, looking to extend that lead.
Just to give you a little bit of an update of what's happening elsewhere in the bracket, Sentinels have defeated Cloud9 3-1 in a 250-45 on Strongholds Recharge. So Sentinels on that comeback story. Cloud9 dropping out in top 4, which means we get that rematch that we've all wanted. E-United versus Sentinels will happen in the elimination bracket.
Oh, wow. Keep your social media open. That's going to be one for the eyes, but we'll turn our attentions back to this game as Trippy is surviving for now. You can see the fight is going down over at B, so Trippy trying to move over to assist his teammates to defend this one. Falcated inside, though, and he almost got the conversion. Did he get the reset? It looks like he might have just done. Inconceivable diving back onto B, though. They know how desperate they need to turn this back around.
Already find themselves almost 100 behind now. And they've really got to hold on to A and B, but also do exactly what Optic were doing to them, flipping A and C consistently, depending on where they see Optic spawn. You can see all 4 dead for Optic right now. And off the rip, APG needs to make a difference here. Try and stop Falcated from taking C.
Falcated happily to bait, though. Pistola is going to be trying to rotate back with APG, but look at the damage that Falcated is doing, and now the attention is all on him. And the kills, I was going to say, might be going his way too, but that heat wave from Pistola and a little bit of work from a teammate too. You can at least give them the opening to have a bit of freedom on the map. One player has fallen for Inconceivable. He's now come back off of that respawn. APG has fallen too. But look at the battle now going down for the overshield. Pistola trying to do what he can. There's another player skulking around these pillars somewhere. It's bubu dubu who's going to re-challenge now. Pistola in a really important battle around this OS. Just trying to bait. Bubu wins it. Now can he get that overshield and pop it into his chest?
Yes, he can, and slowly but surely Inconceivable are starting to work their way back into it. But every time they think they've got a little bit of control, Optic once again puts some more points on the board, and they're contesting C at the same time. I think that's what's scary, is that as soon as Inconceivable think they can push successfully towards A or B, they just lose their one controlled point, and they're really struggling to get points on the board because of this.
Bound being pushed by numerous members of Optic Gaming here, calling that out immediately to his teammates as well. Survives some grenades, doesn't quite connect with that no scope, and APG is going to make him pay, but not without his life being taken before he does go down. And speaking of going down, 4 have fallen now for Inconceivable. What a hold that was. And now they have sniper rifle, they have AB, they have C as well. The triple cap is on, and this is looking like Inconceivable are starting to find form, Dan.
Both teams trying to consistently push for that triple cap to really take advantage of the extra points you get when you are in total control. But now for Optic Gaming, they spawned at A. They have to try and work their way towards B. That's why Lucid is forcing his way out of garage as APG is pushing down through bottom middle. That is a perfect break of setup. They should be able to get B because of it, and they can start to collapse on bubu dubu at tower.
Yeah, just a little bit questionable, the plays from Falcated there. Just looked like he wasn't quite sure what he wanted to do, and gave away that first death in the team fight. Instead of being a more difficult kill, maybe holding an angle with that sniper rifle. But that's all history for now. A snipe down and bound will pick up some kills to maybe give them an opportunity to at least open up the map. The overshield's going to be coming up pretty soon as well. So for now, Pistola's just going to be patrolling through the cuts here, looking to see if anyone dares try and approach this C stronghold to convert it.
Nice snipe as well. That's what you got to do. You saw him just eyeing it up, teasing it, and some people would miss that one, but you know full well snipe down is not going to. And if you've got a sniper rifle in your hands, you've got to be hitting those shots. Otherwise, you're really going to be punished as a team.
A and C. Inconceivable do control. Lucid meet snipe down. Meet the end of a gun. As the snipe beatdown does come in, Lucid doesn't get that flank as Snipe Down is starting to warm up a little bit here. Looking at the stats, he's 14 and 15 overall, but now he makes it evens as Snipe Down's gone into a lot of players call Snipe Down mode. He gets a little bit quiet, but the stats start to speak for themselves.
Such a big lead for Optic Gaming, but now Inconceivable have brought this one right back, and they may start to take a lead if Optic aren't careful here. They've managed to at least grab C, but they need to once more prioritize B here. Falcated is going to be the nuisance. If they can take him out straight away, they might be in a spot to take it, and at least you've got the heat wave in hand.
Gonna be a triple cap here for Optic as well. And with the heat wave on the sandbags, top middle, And with Lucid starting to collapse with APG, this is looking like the kind of push that you want to see if you're an Optic fan. He narrowly misses one shot Falcated. That is a vital double kill, as it does open up C for bubu dubu to move in. Pistola now, you can see he's got the angles that he wants. He's got Falcated in front of him too. He is the thorn in the side here of Inconceivable.
210. They're so close now, our Optic Gaming. Inconceivable know if they get all 4 dead and they allow one more trip cap, it might be all she wrote with this series. They may be dropping down to the elimination bracket, but they're still fighting with every single life here to try and push Optic Gaming as far as possible.
Oh, it's a big kill on B from bubu dubu. BC in control. Trippy needs to do what he can to clear him out of this stronghold. Whoever wins this fight might actually be more influential on the game than people realize. It is going to be APG who comes to help his teammate. Snip3down now isn't going to be able to do what he needs to do. But the conversion also doesn't come in. So BC still in the control of Inconceivable. They're scoring for now. As now you're going to see the rotation from Optic to take C.
It's going to be, again, the fight for B, and Bound is going to be the holding point here for Inconceivable. So he needs to try and get in a position where he can get some assistance. At least he's got the heat wave, which is sometimes assistance enough. But look at this. Look at the power weapons that Lucy's just found on the floor.
Not only that, he was also full of overshield. And at the moment, Optic look like they're about to close things out. BC in their control. They're starting to work on A as well. And if anyone rotates back, they're going to feel the end of a sniper rifle bullet from Lucid. That's a beautiful headshot. Falcated, you have one as well. And all of a sudden, Lucid is reminding us that he is still a big part of this lineup.
That's going to be the series for Optic Gaming. Inconceivable gave it a fantastic go. But considering they hadn't lost any live fire games in 17, I did feel like it was going to head this way. 18 games in a row on live fire. It just seems like it very much is the home of Optic Gaming. And what a series it was. A fantastic attempt from Inconceivable, but they're going to have to try and make an elimination bracket run.